If you want to completely automate your digital product, course, or coaching income, this is a simple 5-step sales funnel that allows you to go from idea to sales as quickly as possible. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur. Timestamps below, along with a link to today's sponsor, Go High Level. When you sign up via the link in the description or pinned comment for the 30-day free trial, you'll get immediate and unrestricted access to all of the funnel elements in this guide, along with complimentary access to ActOS, your complete system for generating automated income with digital products. Now, we'll kick things off with a quick explanation on what this funnel is, the 5 key elements. So here's the timestamp if you just want to jump into Go High Level and see how to actually build this out from scratch. So we like really using this funnel for courses up to $300 and digital products that are as low as $295. And so it all starts with your landing page, of course. So this is going to be the page that we're going to share across social media or YouTube, and we're pretty much just going to collect someone's email address. So we actually create a separate landing page for each traffic platform. That's something that's going to help you be much more targeted with your marketing in the future. So as an example, this of course is the template that we'll be using in a moment to build out the landing page. Yes, simple pages like this can convert anywhere from 36% on cold Facebook traffic, upwards of 60% on warm YouTube traffic. You don't have to overcomplicate this page. And speaking of not overcomplicating pages, once someone enters their name and email on this page, we're going to send them to something called our one-time offer sales letter. And so this is going to be a simple page where we have a countdown at the top and we immediately make a paid offer. This can be anywhere from $295 all the way up to $49. You're probably not going to sell a $1,000 course right off the bat here. And of course, most people aren't going to purchase. They're just going to say, okay, that's cool. And then they'll go check their email for whatever the free lead magnet is. And so when that happens, we're going to drop them into a 72-hour sequence, and we'll send 5 emails over that 72 hours saying, hey, we still have that cool, awesome offer, and we think you should take advantage of it before it expires. Now, of course, there's still going to be a lot of people who just don't take us up on the offer. And so for those people who don't, they'll just be dropped all the way down here to our general broadcast list, and we'll send them a couple emails a week for the rest of time, and maybe some other offer you have will entice them to buy. But for those who do purchase on your one-time offer sales page, we will give them an order bump, which we'll go through later. And then, of course, we'll have an upsell page. And so this is going to pop up right after someone purchases. And we're essentially going to say, hey, you liked this first thing. Maybe you'll like this other thing that's really cool. So we'll go through building that out. And of course, Go High Level, like any good page builder and funnel software, manages all this for you. People only have to enter their credit card information once for this to work. It's pretty cool. So once they go through that, of course, we'll give them access to whatever products they purchased. We'll skip the warm welcome sequence since that's a little more advanced. But this is just a quick preview of what the confirmation page looks like in Go High Level. They'll have a little summary of whatever products and offers they purchased. Then, of course, they'll get access to your course library. So this is an example of what ours looks like. We have a very simple template that you can copy for yourself. And then this is kind of what the actual course material can look like. You can upload your videos, of course, have some standard text here and give them their downloads. And then if you really want to get fancy, there's also communities. And so we'll go through that very briefly in the membership section. But when it comes to how to actually sell courses or digital products and automate the entire process, these simple 5 steps is really all you need. So of course, timestamps below if you want to skip around and see a specific page or part. So I'm just going to scroll down here to show you that we've gone ahead and written out all of the sales copy ahead of time. So if you want to know how to use AI to write all the copy that goes on your pages, hit that subscribe button because we have lots of AI tutorials for copywriting coming out soon. So we'll go through, of course, building your landing page from scratch. We'll briefly touch on the copy and what goes into the rapport sequence, but I have all the emails already kind of listed out here. Then, of course, we'll go through the sales letter and we'll go through the simple version here, and then we'll go through a more advanced version once you already have sales. And then, of course, we have other templates down here for the rest of your funnel. So with that, I think that's enough introduction, let's go ahead, jump into high level and start building out your landing page. Now, when it comes to creating your funnel and go high level, you're going to want to head over to sites and then funnels. And then if you choose our snapshot or our bundle of templates, they call them snapshots, or someone else's, those of course will show up here once you click a link and they automatically jump into your account and you're good to go. Or if you want to start from complete scratch, you can come up here to new funnel and then you can choose create with AI or jump into the templates. Now I'm just going to click jump into the templates here just so we can scroll through and see they have a lot in here. Now when it comes to which template to use and how to use it, really 80% of the success of your page is going to be the copy that's on it. So you don't need to spend like 3 hours agonizing over which template's going to be the best. I would recommend, if you don't use our simple one, that you go through here and choose the one that's going to allow you to get launched the fastest. Because guess what? You can always come back and do something called a split test. So if you have two that you like, you can build your page now as quickly as possible. And then once you're running traffic and hopefully you're making some sales, you can always come back and test a completely different design and then actually let live data tell you which design is the best. So hopefully I've scrolled through enough so you can kind of see it just kind of keeps going and going and going. But for time purposes, I've gone ahead and loaded up our snapshot here. And this is actually going to, we're going to build a funnel that is actually live in another software that is actually generating revenue. So this isn't just like a random case study example. This is something that's actually live in another funnel software working, and we're moving it over to high level. So of course, you can always click here to add a step or copy over from another one of your funnels. And so here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on cancel. And we're going to start off with your landing page. Now, when it comes to your landing page, all we have to do is click on edit here. And we're going to hop in. And since this is our first page in this funnel building process, we'll go a little deeper into all the different features that you have available to you. And then that way, when we do the other pages, we're already good to go on the basic page building, and we can just talk about the different features that you need to know about when it comes to your sales and upsell, and then of course your order bump as well. So all we have to do is click on layers over here on the left. And you'll see we were very OCD. We labeled everything for you. And so I'll go ahead and open everything up so you can see the organization of the page. And yes, there is a lot here, but once we do, I think that's good enough. You'll be able to see. So the way it works, and this is similar to most page builders, you have your sections, and then you have your columns, and then you have your rows. And so if I come up here, I'm going to click on the logo banner here. You'll see that, of course, we have a bunch of settings here on the side. And if you ever get lost, you can see that I've clicked green, means we are in a section. And then if I click on blue here, that means we're in a row. And then purple means we're in a column. I realize I said rows and columns opposite in the wrong order. And then inside your columns, then you have your elements, if that's not confusing enough. So I'll be real. It took me a while to get used to this. It definitely did. Even though I've played with a lot of other page builders before, but it just seems to be every page builder is slightly different. And so to show you how to do this from scratch, we'll go ahead and click on the X button here, and I will go ahead and click on the Add Elements icon, and I'm going to click on Sections. And so full width, wide, medium, small, you're pretty much going to be choosing between a wide and a full width. So full width means the section is going to go across someone's entire screen. So if they have one of those fancy 49-inch ultra wides, it's going to stretch across the screen. So for the most part, you're just going to choose wide. There's not really a reason to do more than that. And so I've added a row down here, or a section down here. And so you'll see here we can give our section a name. Let's just call this Demo A, and we're just going through this so you can build your own from scratch. And then the first settings we have here are margin and then padding. So margin is, of course, the space around the section, and then padding is the spacing inside the section. I realize it's a little confusing, but as a general rule of thumb, your margin on sections is always going to be 0. Just it gets wonky if you try and adjust things. I'll show you how to adjust things inside of a section and a row. Then of course we can choose our background color. I'll go ahead and choose this blue color here. Actually, I'll choose our brand color. You can actually save your brand colors. So when you go ahead and create, if you want to add your own color here, all you have to do is click on add custom one. Then you can go ahead and give it a name and then add there, and then it will save and show up on all your other pages as well. So it can save you quite a bit of time. Of course, it already exists. That's black. Then when it comes to images, you can have a background on your sections. I don't recommend doing that unless you're being really fancy. And it's just not fun when it comes to trying to make it work on mobile and desktop. So you also have the ability to add borders and shadows. We'll go through that in a moment, but let's go ahead and add a column. So we have our section. So now we're going to add a column here, and we'll add a 1 column row, and then we'll go ahead and add an element, and we're going to add a image. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and add an image there. So now this is where you can kind of start playing with the padding. So what can be really confusing is actually, let's go ahead and add an image first. So let's just say this is logo. So we're going to add a logo here. We'll go to our storage. You can see here you can make folders, which is something I am so happy about. So many page builders just have like a list of all your files, and you're stuck clicking through so many just to find the logo you want. So I'm going to choose our blue logo, and I've selected that, insert media. And you see we got our logo here. It's way too big. So you're going to go ahead and adjust the height. So I want this to only be 200. That's not working. So maybe I want it to be 100. Oh, there we go. Now it's adjusting. Okay, still way too big. So I'm going to try 50. And you kind of just keep going until you get a size that you like. All right, awesome. So we have our section. We have our image here. And then, of course, maybe we want to mirror what we're doing up here, where we have another section where we have some text and then our actual bullet points, right? So what we can do is we'll go ahead and create a new section. So I'll go ahead and add a section here. I'm going to say it's going to be wide this time. And then, of course, we'll add a row. And let's do 1 column this time. And then, of course, you'll see that the background color is this tan, and that's because that's the background of the page. We'll get to page settings later. I should have done that first, but that's okay. So we've gone ahead and made this section white, and we'll leave the padding alone. We'll come over to advance, and let's add a little box shadow around it, kind of like what we have up top. So we can go ahead and click here. The box shadow is a little confusing. If you want it even around the entire section, we'll just do 0, 0, 0. We'll do a blur of 3, and then our color, for whatever reason, your default colors don't show up. So I'm just going to make this black so it's really easy to see. I don't know why. There we go. Cool. And then for border, we'll say we're going to have a top and bottom border. Style will be solid. And then border width, this is actually, we're going to do 2 is more than enough. And then border radius, this actually tells you whether or not you have a curvature. So you can kind of see now that I've scrolled down that there's a curve around this entire section. And so that is, section. And so if I go ahead and change that curve to 0, now you'll see those curves are gone here. So I'll go ahead and go back to our section. You can notice I'm like clicking multiple times. If you ever get lost, you're like, I'm trying to click this element. Just open up the layers here, and then you can open up to exactly which part you want to edit. So I'm going to click on section again, and I'm just going to fix these edges. So, all edges. And I'm going to say border radius of 10. So we kind of have, but I'm not going to do the top only. And so when I do that, X out here, come on, there we go. So you'll see here we have rounded edges at the top, and then the border at the bottom is just black. It doesn't look that great, but that's okay. We're just showing how to go through all of these settings. And then if you notice up top here, we kind of have this bottom section overlapping the top. And so what you can do for that is you're actually going to play with margin. So we can come over here to margin and click on, let's say, minus 50, click enter here. And then you'll see that it's popped up. And so you can kind of have this nice thing where you overlay different sections on top of each other. Now, when you play with margin, the bottom section is always going to be on top of the higher section. So if I wanted this blue to be on top of the white, you can't really do that. But let's go ahead and add an element. Let's add a headline. And let's jump over to our copy here, and we'll go ahead and add that. So we'll scroll all the way back up here. So here's our landing page copy. And let's say this is the headline we want to copy. So we can just go ahead and copy that in. Let's say we want a little pre-headline. So we can click this plus icon, and we're going to do a sub-headline. And you see I have these little arrows. I can push it up top. I'll go ahead and grab my copy here, paste that in. And then I want to italicize it. You see over here on the left-hand side, I can go ahead and say I want it to be aligned left. Of course, we have the font settings. So let's say this is too big. I want it to be 18. So I'll go ahead and hit enter there. And then for our typography, we can have headline format, content, or custom. You can upload custom fonts. I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're really comfortable with, or you really already have a custom font that you like. And then of course for our colors, we can go ahead and change. Let's say we want this to be a dark gray, but you'll notice that the text didn't change color. It's still black, and that's because you have to change the italic color. So if I change the italic color to red, you'll see that now the color's changed. But if I unitalicize this and I say back to normal, now it's going to be gray. So that's one way you can play around with the colors, making sure you get the color that you want. Or if you want to have multiple colors, download now. And let's say I want this to be green for some reason. I'll make it normal text and then I'll bold it. And so now bold color is going to be green. And that's how you can have multiple colors in one text element. It's not as easy as some other page builders you might have used. It's not like you can just highlight one part of the text and then just change that text color. You need to have one bold, one italicized, and then one normal text, right? So I'll go ahead and unbold that. And now you'll see we have 3 different in one. So I'll go ahead and delete these, and I'll actually just start building the page. But that's the basics of the of going through some of the elements here. So I'll go ahead. I already have that copied. So I'll go ahead and drop that, grab that there. And of course, if you do decide to use our templates, we have all these ready to go for you. And I always do recommend doing your copywriting before you start playing with the page building. So let's say we've got our text in here. I don't have a subheadline, so I'll go ahead and remove that. Then we have our bullet points. Now, something that when you use the bullet point element, so I'll come over here, I'll click the plus icon here, and you'll see we have the bullet point element. You're actually going to want to use the bullet point, one element for one bullet point. So if you say, here's some stuff, right? This took me a while to figure out. Like, look at that spacing. That's not fun. Nobody can read that. And they don't have options to change the spacing between the bullets inside of this element. So what you have to do is, this is going to be bullet 1, and then you need to click on this icon to duplicate, and this is going to be bullet 2. And then if you want to change the spacing, the margins, the padding, all that, then you need to click on one bullet icon, scroll all the way down here, and then start changing your margin. So let's say you want 60 between bullets for some reason. Then that's how you'd go ahead and start changing the distance between the 2 bullets. So and then one more cool thing with the bullets is if you want to change the icon type, you see how this has a little check mark here. All you need to do is come to the icon setting here, And when we click on that, you'll see that a bunch of icons show up. Now, embarrassingly, this took me 2 weeks to figure out. You need to start typing in the type of icon you're looking for. So if I type in check, all of a sudden a bunch of other icons are going to show up. Or if I type in law, you'll get something like, or maybe if I type in start typing in medical, then I get a bunch of icons. So there are a ton of icons in here. You just have to start typing. So I'm going to go check. And let's say I want to double check for some reason. Okay, cool. Awesome. So just a quick tip there, because when you click the drop down for this, you're going to look, if you don't type anything in here, you're going to look and go, is that really all the icons they have? Well, I thought that for a while, but anyway, so save you some embarrassment and headache, right? So we've got our bullet points. If we wanted to do a background for some reason, you could do a background like that. I'm going to keep it simple though, and undo that. And when it comes to also your font weight, you can change how bold you want the font to be. So I'm going to go, extra light, thin or medium. Honestly, unless like you're really OCD about stuff, I would just leave it normal, make it easy to read. And so I'll just go ahead and copy and paste my bullet points over here, since we already have them formatted. And you can see here that as I'm starting to copy and paste, I would want some better line spacing inside the bullets. And so to make it so the text doesn't look so squished together, we'll come over here to advanced, and then we'll change the line height. And let's say we want 4.3 for some reason. Wow, that is way too big, right? So let's go 1.5. That's probably still a little too much. So maybe 1.1 and 1.3. Okay, so that doesn't look the greatest. I would play with that a little more, but that just shows you how you can do the spacing in between the bullet points. You're going to be using your margin and padding, and then the spacing in between the lines, you're going to come over to advanced and check line height. Now for your image, of course, we need to update the image. I use Canva for making all of our images. And so you can always update your image size here, kind of like we showed earlier, changing the height. If you type in both sides, it'll start warping the image. So choose width or height to play with, and then delete, and then go high level. We'll put it back to normal. I don't know why it's not deleting for me. So I'll just do undo, and then there we go. The oh so powerful undo. And then to change our image, we can go ahead and click on this image icon here, opens up your storage. You actually do have access to manage your media storage from your main library as well. So we are doing Google Ads Playbook. I always forget what we're doing here. So I'm going to go to my images here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose my image. I'll go ahead and insert it. There you go. And then, of course, I'm going to have a nice quote at the bottom talking about how awesome I think the lead magnet is. Now, just a quick note, when you're making a landing page for Facebook ads, you're definitely going to want some sort of testimonials on there. And so when it comes to like YouTube, people are watching your videos. They don't really need as much rapport building or kind of proof that you know what you're talking about because they've watched a video from you. But when it comes to Facebook ads, instead of quoting yourself, you're going to want to have some quotes from people who've used your lead magnet, or maybe just previous clients, even if it's not directly related to what you're offering. So I'll go ahead and swap out my image here, and I believe you can tell I went a little overboard on the folders here, but it does make it easy to find stuff. And finally, at the bottom here, we have our legal disclaimer text. Of course, I'm not giving any form of legal advice, but I can say that Facebook and Google and any other paid traffic or organic traffic platform you're running traffic to this page, they probably want you to have some sort of disclaimer at the bottom. So you can always ask your favorite AI, hey, hypothetically, what would a lawyer or what would Facebook or Google tell me the type of text I need at the bottom of my page? And make sure you just frame it as hypothetically and say you understand you can't give legal advice and you're going to go find the proper way. And then you might actually get some pretty good text that you could or could not put at the bottom, depending upon your own decisions. It's a very silly way to say that. Anyway, keeping YouTube happy, we'll go ahead and I think for the most part, we're done here. There's one important thing that I haven't done, and that's hit save because there's no autosave. So do make sure you come up here and click on save. If you haven't done any of your settings for the page, oh boy, then this is going to pop up. So we go ahead and give the page a title. And so our title is just going to be whatever our lead magnet is. So this is going to be our Google Ads playbook, if you can spell it correctly. Then of course our definition or our page description. For that, I'm just going to use the headline. I keep it pretty simple. And then for keywords, author, social image, really none of these really matter. If you want to put your name in here, you can. So I'm just going to put Jason Whaley in there. Keywords don't matter. We're not trying to rank a landing page. Social image, you're probably going to upload a custom image when you share this across social media anyway. And then of course, language is probably going to default to whatever your account is set as. You do have these links and tags. Those are important when you're running traffic and you're tracking your leads and conversions and sales and all that fun stuff. But for now, this is going to be a page for, social media. So we're good to go here. So I'll go ahead and X that out. And then of course, I'll make sure I save here. Let's go through. So if you want to put your tracking codes on your page, you can do that here. And then if you want to do anything custom CSS, you can do that here. Please don't, unless you absolutely have to for some reason. Don't do custom CSS. It's going to make the page slow. You can go, of course, change your typography here. So you can change your headline font and your content font. That's all you need to do. You can, of course, change your fonts if you wanted to on a element level, right? You can go ahead and click your custom font and then change that. But for the most part, just use 2 fonts. Keeps things very simple and basic. And then, of course, you can go ahead and change the color of your background. I don't recommend using images for an entire background of your page. Just makes it slow. We'll get to pop-up settings in a moment. We already did SEO data. And then, of course, it gives you, you can also do some cookie consent stuff, which is pretty cool. But I'll leave GDPR or whatever regulations you have to deal with for another time. So I'll go and click on save here, and we can go ahead and preview our page. So in a relatively short time, well, it'll take you way less time because you won't be explaining to somebody how to do this, but we've got our pre-headline, our headline here, a couple of bullet points, a download now. You may be wondering, wait a second, we didn't make this form. That's our next step. And then, of course, we have the legal disclaimer text, and we will need to link to a privacy policy, terms of service, and that fun stuff. But I'll leave that boring legal stuff alone for now, and we'll go ahead and X that out. So now, the only other question we have here is what happens when someone does want this, right? So on this button here, I've set it to open the pop-up. Now, I didn't go through button settings because everyone wants different buttons, and if you don't like the button that's on this page or a template that you're using, you can go ahead and customize it. It's really easy to lose like 30 minutes just playing with buttons, right? So they do have some very basic animations. You see, you mouse over and make it pop. But what's important is the button action. And you can see here we have a bunch of pop-up settings, and we can go next step, one click. We'll leave it at open pop-up. And that leads us to our form. So when it comes to our landing page formula, I like talking about it in terms of ADA. So we grabbed attention with the headline, built some interest with the bullet points, did some rapport building and desire with the self-quote. Now it's time to drive action. And that's going to be the button. And so to access our pop-up settings, we click here, and you can see that this little box pops up. Oh, yeah. Super clever, Jason. And this is going to be where we actually put in our form. So I'm actually going to delete this so you can, oops, that's not deleting. I'm actually going to delete this element. You can see here I can click the little trash can icon. And I'll go ahead and I'll leave this because we'll lose some of the naming here. But starting from scratch, I'm going to say, okay, I want to add an element. And then you can come over here to forms. And then it's going to ask you to select a form. Now, when you import our snapshot or somebody else's snapshot, you're probably going to have some options here. But if you're starting from scratch, you're just going to see form 0, and you're going to go, wait, what do I do? That's because we have to build the form somewhere else. Not cool. I'm not a fan of this part. I understand why it's set up this way, because it does allow you to do some fancy things with the form. But when you're trying to go fast, it is kind of annoying. So I'll go ahead and drop this form in here. And then next, we'll jump over to a different part of high level to actually build the form. So I'll go ahead and click on save here. We could click publish if we'd already gone through our domain settings. We'll go through that at the very end. And then another quick note before we jump into creating our form. When you click on this pages icon here, you can actually jump to the other pages in your funnel without going out and coming back in. So if we wanted to jump straight into building out our one-time offer sales page, we could do that right here, right now. But first, we need a form. So I'm going to go ahead and click on back, and we'll wait for it to load a little bit. And so we've got our landing page all set up and done. We'll go through publishing options when we get to settings. And now we're going to go over to forms up here and click on builder. And so here, anytime you want to have an opt-in form, not an order forms are a lot easier. But if anytime you want to collect someone's email, or you want to do something really fancy, like have a survey that changes the type of email someone gets, or you want to be really advanced with your lead generation, they have a bunch of templates and options for that. You can even sell products through a form, but I'll go through the way I like to do it. For now, we're going to keep things really basic and just collect some email addresses. So we'll go ahead and click on add form here. So you can start from scratch, or as usual, they have a bunch of templates. And when it comes to digital products and course sales, most of these templates are not going to be helpful, because a lot of these are designed for higher ticket or services-based businesses or B2B, where you need to collect a lot of information and you're going through a longer sales cycle or process. And so when it comes to collecting a name and email for a lead magnet, all these forms are way too much. All you need is name and email, if that, right? So I would go ahead and choose a basic form. But for time purposes here, I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate the template that I have. And so I'm going to go ahead and name this. It's going to be PGP. I give all my funnels codes, because otherwise it just keeps things nice and short. So I'll go ahead and confirm there. So that lets me know it's for the Google Ads playbook. And so now I'll go ahead and edit the form here, just so we can go through the form settings. The settings are very basic. You can see here on the left-hand side all the things we can ask for. You can get really advanced, but for now, we just want to ask for their name, and we want to ask for their email. Now, when it comes to the button, this is probably the most important part of creating your form. You want to make sure that it is the same text, the same color, and the same font as the button on your landing page. So if you're trying to use this form in multiple places, it's always better to create multiple forms and have them exactly the same as whatever page they're connected to, instead of, well, let's be honest, being a little lazy and thinking that it's okay to have the same form with kind of different typography or different button colors. It really does make a difference when it comes to conversion optimization. So any CRO person who looks at your funnel is going to go, hey, number one, button colors should all be the same. So anyway, you'll see here that there are a ton of options for the button that we will just not play with. You just go around and play with this. I know this form looks really simple. There's probably 90 minutes to 2 hours of going back and forth. I tend to be a little more on the OCD side. But the good news is once you get your name, email, download link, I like to include, we will not share your information. You can go ahead and save it. And then just like you saw me do, just duplicate it for every time you want to use the form. Now, something that's interesting, if you do want to play with logic, you have all these redirect rules. If you're just making a landing page like we are, you don't need to do anything else here. So I'm just going to click on save. If you want to embed this on another website, you can go ahead and play with these settings as well. So as an example, I, of course, have this funnel set up in 2 other softwares, actually. So instead of trying to find all the links everywhere else, I can actually just create this as an inline form. I can copy this embed code, and I can go put this form code on the other two softwares that I don't want to use anymore, but I still have links to those landing pages everywhere, right? So now I can put this form on those landing pages and I don't have to worry about going through 500 YouTube videos, changing out all the links. I mean, we will eventually, but it is kind of nice to easily migrate over to high level from whatever else you're using. You can just put the form and redirect all the traffic instantly. Please let me know in the comments if that didn't make any sense. I tried a couple times with the explanation of that. And it's one of those things, it makes sense in Jason's head. And then he says it out loud and everyone just goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Welcome to YouTube tutorial making. So we've got our form. So now we're going to go back over to funnels here and we can jump over into our Google Ads Playbook funnel. We'll click on edit. Again, timestamps below to skip around. We are going through every step of the 5-step funnel process here. And I'm going to, of course, click on our pop-up settings here. I'm going to delete this form because that's not the right one. I'll click on add element, form, and now you'll see we have our PGP 2.4, and that's just our internal coding for form. And so now we'll go ahead and save. I'll click on, come back, pop-up settings, click on the form, and then the redirect action, this is key. Redirect, go to next step. So you need to make sure it's go to next step, and that will automatically direct people to our one-time offer sales page, and that's where we need people to go. And then of course we can go ahead and click on save. If you're wondering, okay, but like where does the email go? You're going to set that up in an automation. So we're create an automation that fires when someone completes this form, and that's how we get them their free lead magnet and start sending them sales emails in the future. So we'll go through that when we go through email automations. So I will go ahead and click on save here. With that, our landing page is in fact done. So do comment below if you have any questions or you're like, hey, I really wish you had gone over this part, you skipped it, because we'll be doing a lot more tutorials because I have a lot of pages to move. So I might as well make videos for everyone here while we're moving over. So just coming back up to layers here, you can see we have our pop-up with our one form. Then on our page, we have our logo banner. Then we have our attention-grabbing headline. And then we have our interest bullet points and our image here that's being blocked. And then we have our desire section with a self-quote. Of course, if you have testimonials, use those instead. People always want to hear from other people about your products than you yourself, but using a self-quote is always the best place to start. And then of course we have the legal disclaimer that you may or may not need depending upon your situation, because I am definitely not giving legal advice at all. So with that, we are done with our landing page and we're collecting email addresses. Again, when we go through the email automation section, we have that queued up for us later. We'll go through the triggers and how to set these up properly. So when someone completes that form, they actually get the lead magnet and the emails. So of course, timestamps if you want to skip to that. But for now, it's time for our sales page. And so now that our landing page is all set and designed, let's go ahead and jump into step number 2, which is going to be the sales letter. Now, when it comes to creating your sales letter, there are a lot of different templates out there, right? There are a lot of different ways to do it, but I always like to say the sales letter that's live is always the best one. So we're going to use something I like to call the Express Sales Letter template. I know, super creative name, but we just want to get it live. We just want to get the product out there and actually converting. And then we can come back and make the super long, complicated sales letter that should convert better. Keyword on should. So jumping back over to our diagram here, you see we've done our landing page. If you want to make a landing page for different traffic sources, you just go ahead and duplicate that in high level. It's quite easy to do. All you need to do is click clone funnel step down here. You're good to go. And now we're going to make our one-time offer sales letter. So I'm going to scroll down to our template here. And you see I have an advanced version and an express version. So the express version is what we, of course, include in our snapshot because it's the one we always use first. And then the advanced version is one you can play with later once your offers are live and converting. Because if an offer converts with the express version, then it's just going to convert better with the advanced. Let's go ahead and jump in here. So I've got my text all ready to go. So again, subscribe if you want to see how you can use AI to write all this text. I'm going to go ahead and jump into edit our sales letter here. And as you can see, it's pretty similar to the landing page, very similar design. I like to keep the designs the same across our pages, just helps from a branding perspective and allows people to know that, hey, they're still on the same site. So I'm jumping over to the live version really quick to show you that we're actually going to make this top part sticky so that the access now button to the order form is always at the top, ready to be clicked. So we'll go ahead and go through the elements that are different and specific to a sales page, and then we will use the power of editing to copy and paste the rest of the text so you don't watch me do the same things we did on the landing page. But let's go ahead and jump into the timer next. So there are actually a couple of different timers that Go High Level has. So if we go down to countdown timer, we have countdown, we have minute, and then we have day. And so if you are, like, let's say running an email promotion and you have a specific time, a date that the offer is going to expire, then go ahead and use the countdown timer. So when we run email promotions, normally it's like 48 hours and we say, hey, 50% off for the next 48 hours. And so we'll have that timer here. And then after 48 hours, it goes back to the full price. But because we don't know when someone is opting in, we want this timer to start at 72 hours, whether they opted in at 7 a.m. in the morning or 12 o'clock at night. Whenever they opt in, that 72-hour starts. And so that's why we use the minute timer. So just like all the other elements, you can come in here, you can change the colors, you can change how it is spaced, although it's not changing, so it makes me look silly. Time zone isn't going to be important because this is going to be based upon whenever someone joined the email list. And you can see here we have the usual font settings, of course, and then the timer. So if we wanted to say this is going to be 3 days and 10 minutes or 3 days and 70 seconds, or not 70 seconds. It only goes up to 60, 50 seconds. There you go, right? But for us, we're just going to do 72 hours, keeps it nice and simple. And then the timer expiration. So this allows you to do two things. And this is actually kind of cool. So when the timer expires, you can either direct people to another URL and say, hey, direct them to the full price sales page, or we can actually choose elements that we reveal or hide. And so what you could do, just if you want to be fancy, is you could actually have two buttons on the page. So one button takes them to the full price and the other button takes them to the discount. And so what you can do is you can say, show, like, let's go to the next CTA button. It's going to be a little awkward, but let's say we make two versions of this button, right? So this first button, we're going to hide until the timer dies. And then the second button, we're going to reveal until the timer dies. And then it goes to different places or different pricing things. I think it's easier to just make two pages and call it good. But if you want to be fancy, that's something that you can do. So we'll go ahead and undo that because that's overly complicated. And I like to keep things simple. So in this regard, if I click on the countdown timer here, losing my spot. We'll go to redirect URL, and then you'd put in the URL of your full price sales letter, wherever that might be. And then you can also have it reset every X number of days. So like, let's say someone comes back hour 73. This is a 72-hour timer. They come back, it's going to say, sorry, expired. You got to pay full price. But then in 30 days, Go High Level will remove that cookie from them, and then they can access the offer again. But for the most part, just make sure once you build out your funnel, you duplicate this page, change the price to full price, and then put the URL in here so that people are automatically redirected to the full price page. And I'll show you how that kind of works later. I realize that's a lot to say. But what we do want to do is go through how do we make sure that this bar stays at the top all the time. So we'll go ahead and click on I'm just going to come over here to layers page, click on timer ribbon. So I'm getting the full section. And then you'll see here we have this option, sticky scroll on top or stick to scroll to bottom. I like to have it stuck to the top. And so that way, like you saw earlier when we preview, you'll see that as we scroll down the page, it stays on the top, and then the timer would be here as well. And so no matter where they are on the page, they can always click access now get to the order form. We always want to make it super easy for people to start the checkout process. Or I should say complete the checkout process too. But in this case, just start. When it comes to the rest of the building elements on this page, it's pretty much the same. You're going to have your buttons open a pop-up. And then in the pop-up is where we're going to have the order form. And this is going to be different from, of course, all your other pages. Now for your order form, all you need to do is come down to elements here. And you have some options, of course. We have a 2-step order form or 1-step order form. I know a lot of people go back and forth. Some people are like, hey, don't do 2-step, it's silly. Other people say, hey, just do 1-step. I like 2-step because I like something called micro commitments. It makes it easier. Someone just enters their name and email, and then they go through entering their credit card, and then they can choose something called an order bump, which we'll go through after we've completed creating this page. And so I've gone ahead and chosen the 2-step order form. And so you can see what the order form, let's do apples to apples. Apologies, real quick. I will go back to what I was actually wanted to show you here. So advanced step 1. Advanced step 1. So you'll see here, my step 1 just says name and email. And then the default template is asking for all this info. The more info you ask, the lower your conversion rates. So if you don't need their shipping address, you don't need their phone number, don't ask for it. Like you want to make it as quick and easy as possible for people to complete the checkout process. Notice how I said complete instead of start now? I realized that was silly of me earlier. So what we would do is we'll click the order form element and we'll come to advanced, and we're just going to say we don't need full name validation. And we will enable an order bump later. So we'll go ahead and select the new order form so you can see removing all the stuff we don't need. I'll go ahead and click on advanced here. We'll scroll up and show company name. We're going to hide that. We don't need the company name. Full name validation. We don't need that. The credit card processor is going to do that for us if they're playing funny games with the naming there. Autocomplete address, we don't need that because we do not need the shipping address at all. And then, of course, we can change the button. So we're going to say continue, a little icon there. We can have some sub-button text if we want. I don't recommend that. We'll go ahead and leave this alone too. We're going to remove cart mode because we're selling a digital offer. They just buy one. And then pricing information, we'll go ahead and turn that off as well. We don't want coupon codes. If you're not using coupon codes, just take them away, because what will happen is someone will go through your checkout and go, oh, I'm probably paying too much because I don't have a coupon code, right? So go ahead and leave those off unless you're actually using the coupon code feature. And then, of course, you're going to want to change this. I'm going to say account creation, and of course, spell it correctly, account. And then for step 2, we can go ahead and click on here, and you'll see here, we'll go ahead and click on step 2 over here as well so you can see. Then we can customize. This is kind of how I've tailored and changed it. I just added emoji here on the side. That's pretty much it. You can't really do too much here. And then if you wanted to change some of these headings, you can. They make the form pretty standard though, because when it comes to keeping payment processors happy, you don't want to do too much with the order form. You really want to make it plain and simple and just straight up, here's how much you're paying, here's what you're getting. Please don't call Stripe and tell us that we scammed you, right? Because we were very clear on the pricing. So something that you can do is add an order bump, which we'll go through in the next section. But for now, all you need to do for your checkout, your sales and checkout page. Of course, you can have a separate checkout page. I think it just overcomplicates things. Let's just have the checkout and the sales page in one place, especially because you have a timer. So now you only have to worry about one page with your timers. And so for that, I realize I'm going relatively fast, but with this template, you really don't need to change much. But you will probably wonder, wait, where do we connect the product? So that's what we'll do next. So I'll go ahead and jump out of these settings here, and I'll go ahead and click on save, and then we'll go back and I will jump over to products. So here you're going to add a product. Now, of course, we'll go through setting up products later, but I'll just go ahead and choose this template, say what the product price is. So you can see here something that a lot of people point out, how high level feels overcomplicated. Yes, extra steps, but what's nice is I can choose the full price or the sale price. So I'll just choose the sale price. And then this product name, that's what's going to show up on the order form. And then additional options, allowing multiple to be purchased or saying if this is an order bump, which of course we'll go through later. So I'll go and click on save here. And now our product is connected to the order form. So when someone completes the order form, this is how we tell high level what product they should be getting access to. And so I'll jump back into editing here. You're not going to see anything change here. So that is one of the things that makes it a little hard with creating in Go High Level here is you're going to click on this and there's nothing really in here that says, hey, your product's connected, right? So just make sure your product's connected, I guess. But with this form, there is something you do want to do. And that is at the bottom, select action for your order form. And so when you create your order form, whether it's 1 or 2 steps, you create your order form, and then you'll see here, it says select a step. You can go to next step, go to URL, or select a step. I don't know why, but I wish we could do this with the landing page. We can't. I wish we could, but we can't. And so what you can do is you can select all the other pages in your funnel. We'll select your upsell page. And so what will happen is once someone completes the order form here, we're on our sales page, they'll automatically be directed to our upsell page, even if we put pages in the middle. If we said next step, then it would only go to the page that comes right after this one. And you don't want to do that because you're going to have multiple sales pages eventually. I know you're like, wait, why would I have multiple sales pages? We already established you need one once this timer dies. You'll have one for your email and you'll have one for YouTube and whatnot. So it's kind of just future-proofing your funnel, even if it sounds overcomplicated now. Just make sure that your order form, we'll click on pop-up settings, your order form here goes to whatever your first upsell is. So I'll go ahead and X that out. And then of course we'd go ahead and copy paste in all of our info. So I'll jump over to our template here just to show you what the final page would look like. We'd go ahead and copy and paste all this in just like we did on the sales page. And then in the future, once you're making sales, then you'd actually go ahead and expand and you'd actually have a longer form sales letter. So this is the actual sales letter we use for this product now, but you can tell that this takes a lot more time. We have screenshots of testimonials. We added some bonuses in there. We do like a value stack. We have FAQ on some of them. And you don't need to make this long. I'm showing you this because you don't need to make this long sales page to start. You're going to make sales with a page this small. The longer page just helps increase your conversion rates. But if this short page doesn't work, then there's no point in making the long one because the long one is just something that increases your sales and conversions. It doesn't make or break your sales or conversions. So I just want to point that out. That's why we keep this so lean and quick. It allows us to get a lot of products out, test, and then we can make the long page for the ones that are actually working. So we'll go ahead and click on back here. And so when it comes to creating your sales page, that's it. Once you have it, we'd go ahead and click clone step. And then we would remove that timer. So we have one that is for our one-time offer, and then one that we can redirect people to for the full price when that timer expires. And so jumping over to our diagram here, we've created our landing page. We've created our one-time sales page. Now we need to create our order bump. Now, luckily, this one's super fast, very fast. So something that's counterintuitive, we have to add our order bump before we can set it up on the page. So I'll go over here and click on products again on our sales page, and you'll click on add a product. You'll select a product. I'm going to select just a random one here. Price. That was not set up correctly. That's okay. And then we'll come all the way down here, advanced options, bump product, and then we'll click save. So if you don't click this, the bump product settings on the page builder aren't going to work. So you can see here, now we have our bump. So we have our main offer at $7.95, our bump at $14.95. The pricing would be reversed on that. Your bump should be lower than your main offer. And then otherwise it would be an upsell. And then we'll come back over to overview and we will click on edit so we can add our order bump. This is going to be the copy that we're going to use for the order bump. So I actually will copy that over since there's a downside there, right? We gotta be honest with the downsides. So I've gone ahead and opened my pop-up because that's where I'm going to store the order form. And then I'm going to select the order form element and we can click on advanced and we're going to enable the order bump. So order bump enabled. We're going to add bump product. We have to select the product. So this is the one we set as an order bump. So if you haven't set that up, it's not going to let you save, essentially. And we need a headline. So we'll go ahead and drop in our headline here. Actually, apologies. Why is it not? Oh, it's not going to show until we save. So we're going to add our headline here, and then we're going to add this text. You'll see what it looks like in a moment. And then we will add our one-time offer text. You're not going to be able to put bullet points. You're not going to be able to put bullet points, unfortunately. Then we have to select our image. So we're going to go ahead and pull in an image. Now, this is something that I'm going to pull in the wrong image so you can see what I mean, because it's going to be a little frustrating, actually. Insert media. Enabled by default means the order bump's automatically checked. I don't recommend doing this because it's going to throw people off. They're going to look at the total and go, that's not what I thought I was paying for. So we'll go ahead and click on save and you'll see here the order bump has been added. So can we change the font? Can we change the way it's formatted, the colors? No. And you'll see there's no option to change the size of the image. I think this is something that should be added to future features. So what you need to make sure you do if you want an image here is it has to be the size you want it to be here. So this is normally I would just say, hey, make this only 200 or 150. But this is really big. It's way too obnoxious to be for an order bump. So I'm going to come back over here to edit, and I'm going to change the image to one that we've formatted to be smaller. 200 is still too big, so I have a format here where it's only 50 high, and update. Now it looks blurry. So apparently, apologies. So I won't edit that out because that was, I guess that's just how it works. So unfortunately, you can't actually make it any smaller. I've actually tried to manually make a smaller image. That did not work. So we'll go ahead and update. And unfortunately, it's just going to be nice and big like this. So we'll go ahead and save our settings. So let's open the pop-up back up so we can see it. So once they have gone through the order form, they'll enter their name and email first. So we collect that contact information. Allows us to do some advanced stuff in the future if you'd like sending emails to people who started the process but didn't finish. Yes, that happens a lot. And then they'll see a summary of their offer, what they're purchasing, the main offer. They have the option to take you up on the upsell by clicking this. Of course, I don't recommend having this clicked by default. I think it's best to have people click it. We can't change any of the coloring. And then they'll have their order summary and they'll enter their card information. Ideally, I'd want their card information before they click the button, but we can't really control the order flow here. So we'll go ahead and click on save. And that's all there is to it to creating your sales page. Of course, I would go ahead and copy and paste all of my info, but I'll do that off camera since that would be quite boring to watch. It would just be copy, paste. So with that, your sales letter is done. And we're ready to create your upsell page. Now, when it comes to creating your upsell page, there are only 3 unique things we need to make sure we do in order for the page to work correctly and people to not get confused. So I'll go ahead and click on edit here to open up our template, and we'll go through those 3 keys. So of course, the first one is going to be making it clear that the checkout process is not complete. So we have this giant wait, your order is still in progress, and this customized bar that we created just using a couple of rows and columns, letting people know that the process is still ongoing. Then, of course, we have something that looks almost identical to our Express sales page, because if the format worked on the sales page, it's going to work here as well. Of we offer people a big discount for taking us up on the offer now. But the next two things that are important is number one, the button here needs to be configured as an upsell. So if we click on the button and we come all the way down to our settings here, you'll see button actions. We need to select one-click upsell, downsell. That's pretty much the only way Go High Level knows what this page is for, right? So what's really nice is you can build out all these pages the way you want. You can copy and duplicate them, and then you don't have to define what this page is for until it comes to the button. And so we need to make sure we have one-click up or downsell for the product as our main button. So we set this up so if someone clicks it, it adds to their order as an upsell. And for the third key, we need a button that goes to the next step that says we don't want this offer. So those are the three real keys on this page. And I realize it's a little confusing and counterintuitive. And in fact, when I set this up the first time, I was working with someone at Go High Level, and it was kind of like one of those things. I think you just click next step, right? I don't really know, because there's nothing here that says there's nothing in the button actions that say reject upsell offer. And so the only thing you can have here is go to next step. And so I've actually formatted, like this is actually a button. I just format it to look like a link and just say, no, thanks, I'm good on my own. But we do need to make sure on this upsell page, number one, we make it very clear that the order is ongoing. Then number two, when we create a button, you can of course use our template or whoever's template you're using. You need to make sure that the button link is for an upsell. And then of course you can select your product. I'm just setting this up for the first time, so there's nothing there. But then go to next step. Now, I think the way this works, you could possibly have like more than one upsell offer. You could have like number one and number two. But I would recommend just have one offer, make it really clear, because at this point, it's a balance between conversion rate optimization and not pissing off credit card merchant processors. But we'll get to that when we get to the designing of the page. So I'm just reiterating this because it can be very confusing. You want to make sure that it says one-click upsell, downsell product, and then the action is to either go to next step or you can select a step. So if you have more than one upsell, you would just say go to the next upsell, go to the next upsell. Here, I can just say confirmation because I only have one upsell. So I'll go ahead and click on, I'll save that now. And then we'll go ahead and start playing with the page. But I'll jump over here to my template that's part of ActOS, and I'll go ahead and grab my headline. I'll go ahead and drop that in there. We want to make the headline super basic. We don't have to be fancy. They know we're trying to sell them something else. We want to sell them something else, right? I'll go ahead and grab my benefit block that will go here. But instead of an image, I want to put a video. And since we haven't shown how to embed a video yet, realized that during the putting together the sales page, let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this image because I don't want the image. And let's say I want to have a video here. So I'll go ahead and click on this plus button. I'll come down here to video. And of course the video will insert. If the video looks too big, let's go ahead and change our padding here. So let's say we want it to be 20, actually 40. Oh, no, 80. 80 looks good. Okay. So I'll do 80 on the right side as well. So now we've got the video smaller. We actually don't need a sub headline here. And now we can, of course, use YouTube or Vimeo or Wistia, but the whole point of having an all-in-one solution is to use a hosted video. So this is going to be a video that we've hosted with Go High Level. Just saves us a lot of headache. Player controls. We do not want autoplay. I don't recommend ever putting autoplay. And we don't need a full screen toggle. And we'll show progress. We'll leave the progress bar there. That's okay. It's kind of back and forth on whether we should show that for a sales video, but we wanted people to know that this is a nice short video. So I'll go ahead and click on select video. I will jump into our funnel folder here, and I will select this is my upsell video. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I'll drop that in there. And then we will want a thumbnail. So something I do with thumbnails is I make thumbnails so that people know they need to click to play. So this is my thumbnail for my upsell. You see I have another one down there. That's for the main sales letter, insert. So now it clearly says click to play, access info here. So we won't get into why we do that or what's in the video. We're being nice and quick with building the actual funnel. But you do want to make sure that you have a thumbnail that tells people to click, because you never know what plugins or browser they're using. Autoplay is, I like to say autoplay is dead. I know people still like to use it, but the last thing I want is the video to start autoplaying. Maybe their headphones aren't on anymore and then they miss the first part. It just ask people to click to play and keep it simple. So then, of course, I'll go ahead and grab the rest of my text here. So tell them a little bit about the offer. We just want to make it super clear what they're getting. And so I, of course, go ahead and copy all of these bullet points. And through the magic of skipping ahead, we'll have all the bullet points done. And just like that, our bullet points are there. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do that in real life too? I think they made a movie about that and some consequences unforeseen. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump down here. We've got our money back guarantee. Make sure that with your upsell offers, whatever money back guarantee, if you made one on your sales page, make it the same as your upsell. It's a very ridiculous conversation to have with a customer saying, well, you got 90 days on one offer, but you only get 30 days on another. Just keep it simple. Make it the same for both. And if for whatever reason you don't want to give a money back guarantee, then make sure that's true for everything that they're buying that day, right? Just make it super easy. And then also you don't have to explain to the credit card company why you have like 3 different refund periods. So we'll go ahead and update our image here. We'll go ahead and drop this image in. So this is an image of the upsell offer. Let's make it 800. That looks better. Want it nice and big. Now, when it comes to our pricing, again, speaking of credit card companies, we need to make it super, super clear. So I'm going to say, here's our retail value is $295. They're going to be getting a 67% discount. And then the actual offer price is $95. Or actually, let's go ahead and grab this. So $95. So we need to make it really clear what the price of the offer is that they're paying. We don't want people getting confused when they get their credit card statement and go, I thought I was only paying $30 for this one offer. Why is there an extra $100 on my card? And so I like to make it really clear. I know other people think, well, upsells have been around long enough. People should know better. But I just like having it super clear, saying, yes, I want the Google Ads copywriter. Clicking here will add it to your order immediately. And then again, by clicking here, $95 will be added to your order. So I have it really clear what they're paying. Yes, this is adding to your order. And yes, this is adding to your order. I guess some people could say you probably should make this color a little darker. So maybe we'd make it like that so it's easier to read. But I think it's pretty clear. I think this makes it clear enough that people are adding to their order. And remember, when it comes to processing and credit card companies, I talk about this a lot, is because you do, as a merchant, have a reputation. So if you have too many people complaining about overcharges or asking for their money back, it can affect your ability to collect future payments. So we just want to make sure it's nice and clear. And then, of course, we've got our main button, which has the one-click upsell for the product. And then we have our no thank you button, which just goes to the next step. If you're not going to, goes to next step, or we can say goes to a specific step. So we can select that and then say confirmation. Again, if we have more than one upsell offer, we'd come in here and select whatever the next upsell offer is. And of course, if someone doesn't take you up on this, maybe you shouldn't show them the next 2 or 3, and they should just skip to the confirmation page. So that's another cool thing you can do. If you have like 3 upsells in a row, as soon as they say no thanks, they just go to the confirmation because clearly they're done spending money. But we'll go ahead and click save here. And now our upsell page is ready to go. So we'll go ahead and preview it. Now, of course, people can't see this page unless they've purchased, but you can see we have I would change the colors. Sometimes I put bad colors on purpose because we've made templates in the past and people like refuse to change colors. And I go, we're going to make a color so bad, you will change it for your brand. So then we have, of course, our bullets. I don't know what happened to the check marks there. I must have messed that up when I copied things over. And then, of course, we have the button, and they click that, adds to their order. No thanks. They're done. They'll go to the confirmation. And so that's all we need to do for our upsell page. And we'll come back over here. And just as a quick reminder, we'll need to come over to products here, add a product, and then we need to select whatever the upsell offer is. So let's say we're doing a membership site, the annual discount, and we'll go ahead and click on save. I don't recommend doing reoccurring products as an upsell. It makes it can be a little messy and confusing, but at least big ticket ones, like $500 for an upsells. That's a reoccurring payment. It's a bit much. So I'll go ahead and click on edit, because now that I've created the product, I need to connect that product to the button. So we'll go ahead and scroll down here. We'll click on the button, and now I'm on the general settings. We can go ahead and select the product that we set for the upsell. So we'll click save. So now when someone clicks this, they're going to get that particular product. So I'll go ahead and X that out and say awesome. And we are all set and good to go. And so now we pretty much completed all of our funnel pages, and I will quickly show you the confirmation page. Now, when it comes to the confirmation page, it's super basic. All we're saying is, hey, thank you, and please check your email for access, since High Level will send them a link giving them access to the membership site, or your membership site with your products, which of course we'll briefly go over now that I'm looking at how long this video has gone on. I'll come over to my template here. I'll just go ahead and say, grab what this is. They've now got access to the Google Ads Launch Kit, change the color to whatever our company colors are. You'll see here our template now says order complete. We'd go ahead and of course update the image with whatever the main product that we sold, right? So don't show upsell products or other products that they may or may not have purchased, so that it's really clear that they know, hey, I purchased this, and there's an order summary below. So we'll go ahead and grab our main hero image here, and we'll insert that. So we'll say, welcome to, Act Marketing, and we're ready to go with your Google Ads campaigns. Google Ads campaigns. I know it seems silly. You're like, really? Do I just type that in when I'm making? Like, yeah, pretty much. That's as fancy as we need to get. You'll see High Level will automatically have the order summary there. Apparently, the founder of Google just bought our products. Yay us. And then for your access confirmation, so this one was a little confusing to me. As it was explained, the access emails are going to come from your email address. So when you set up your domain to send through Go High Level, it's not going to be like accounts at Go High Level or accounts at leadconnector.com when someone gets access. It's going to be your domain and your URL. And so if you need help for that, Go High Level does have Zoom, does have chat and email and Zoom support. So I would recommend, once you've set up your email or you're having trouble with that, just reach out to support. They'll help you with wherever your domain's hosted to get your domain set up properly. And then you can go ahead and put in your email here. So I would be Jason at jasonwhaling.com. I keep it nice and simple. I was blessed enough to be able to get my name, so thank God for that. And then that's all you need to do. So they know to look for that email. We'll go ahead and click on save again. And of course, it's going to ask us for some content information. We'll leave that alone. You don't need to do anything with that for this page. And we'll go ahead and go back. And with that, our funnel pages are done. So go ahead and comment below. Actually, hit that like button if you're still watching. You're an absolute champion. Watch time statistics for these videos are just like this, but I sincerely hope that you are seeing the power of this platform and how simple it is to create a funnel from scratch, especially if you borrow our templates or or someone else's, right? So with that, we have our pages done. So if I jump back over to our super awesome diagram, we've created our landing page. We've created the sales letter and the one-time bump and the upsell. And so now you can set up an email sequence to drive people back to that. So I'll show you the automations. We won't go through it in super detail. We've been here quite a while. And then I'll quickly show you what the membership side of things looks like. So we'll jump back over to high level. And the first place we're going to go is down to memberships. Now, when it comes to creating your communities or your memberships, your digital products and go high level, it is a little more complicated and involved than some of the other platforms you might have used or are considering to use. So there are essentially 3 different levels of setting up your digital offer. So I'll come over here to courses and I'll come down to products. And this is going to be where you actually create your products that people see on the front end. So if I jump over to my example here, you'll see here that this is kind of what the course dashboard will look like. People will be able to see all the content they have access to. They can click in and actually see all of the notes you add. And of course, you can upload videos directly, have your categories and subcategories, and then, lessons within. So it is very involved when it comes to how you can actually go about organizing all of your content. So as an example, this is one of our membership sites. And so you see that this is a category. And if they open up YouTube, then you can see that we have subcategories like a welcome, lessons, subcategory research, and then lessons. So you have a lot of ability when it comes to getting advanced and fancy with organizing all your content. For time purposes, though, we're going to keep it really simple and just go through what one of our basic courses looks like. So I should show you how to create one from scratch first. So you can go ahead and click on Create Product, Start from Scratch, or import from another software. So I'll just go ahead and click on Start from Scratch. They have some templates in here for you to kind of try to help you get started. I like just starting building on your own because in 5 minutes, you're going to get it. There's not a whole lot of settings when it comes to actually creating the product. So let's just say this is demo A, and we'll go ahead and click on create product here. And just like that, you have everything you need to create a product. And so to save us some time, I'm going to jump over to one that we've already filled out so you can just see. So first we'd want to come over to details here, and we can go ahead and give it a title, a quick description. So this quick description is what's going to show up in your members area here. So we don't want to make it too long. You can see it cut off because I type way too much. But that's where the description is going to go. Your course name is going to go here. You can see we have some thumbnails. So this is kind of the settings we're about to go through here. The settings we're going through here is what shows up here, essentially. So we go and give it a description, a thumbnail. You can go and upload your image. And then, of course, we do have some customization. You can give some instructor info, logo image. I tend to, and of course, some advanced JS stuff that I'll go ahead and leave alone. But when it comes to your layout of your course, this is where you want to come over to customize. And so you can browse templates. They have a couple. They essentially have one that looks like Kajabi and one that looks like Teachable. So I've showed you the one that looks like Teachable, where you have your kind of all of your lessons and subsections here on the left-hand side. And then if you want to look like Kajabi, you can come over here to Activate, Confirm, and then we'll go ahead and preview the course. So I'll come over here to Outline, and you'll see here that now we have, this is the course. These are all the modules. So if we click on, like, let's say this module here, you can see that, and you can see it loads up. I only have one module for this, but the reason that I don't really like this format is, number one, now you have to make more thumbnails for each one of your modules or lessons. I think that's kind of unnecessary work. I don't think it adds value to the viewer experience. And then they have to click in and you only see the lessons for that module. Whereas the kind of Teachable style format, they can see everything on the left-hand side. And so that's kind of why I like that particular format. But if you like this format, this is the other way you can go about doing that. So I'll jump back over here and I will change I'll change our theme back to this, confirm. So you can kind of see the difference between the two. Go back to outline and hit preview. Now you can see we have the teachable style. So this is essentially one what they call a category. And then we have all our lessons here on the left-hand side. And then this is the teachable style. We have our one category and then all our lessons here. So whichever one you like, I just like this one because I can just put emojis on the side, call it good. I don't, again, like to keep it nice and simple and focus on the content as opposed to the design of the site. Stuttering a little bit there. But when it comes to the actual creation of your content, it's very simple. You come up here, you can create a category. You can actually add a certificate if you'd like. And then to add a actual lesson, all you have to do is click add lesson. And I'll just jump into one that's already here and created. You can go ahead and upload your lesson video. You can only upload one video per lesson. There's something a little different than some of the things we made in the past. And then you have your little description down here. So all the text that you're seeing down here is what shows up in the membership site right here. And of course, I skipped creating our instructor information. But when it comes to like actually creating your membership site, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll do a much deeper dive into it for this funnel building guide. I just wanted to kind of quickly show you this is what it looks like. There's really not a lot here because people are joining your membership site for the content that you're making. And I like how simple and easy it is to go through creating your lessons and what they call categories. I'm going to keep saying modules though. I've been saying that for most of my career, so I'm just going to keep saying that. But something that you will need to create in order to connect your course to your funnel is something called an offer. And so we can come over here and click on offers. And you'll see here I have a bunch of offers. So I can go ahead and click on create offer. And this is going to be GK Google Ads Launch Kit. And then I select the product. So these are all the courses, right? And so what's nice about this too is if I wanted to make a bundle, I could call this bundle, right? And then these are all the products inside this offer. So when it comes to creating your funnels are going to look at your offers. They're not going to look at your products. So it's kind of like an extra step. And I've watched enough reviews of Go High Level. People are like, why do we have this extra step? Just connect it to the product. But it makes it easier to create different pricing plans. So that's where instead of having one step to connect, you have three, which is kind of annoying. But it does make it easier long term. Anyway, so we'll say this product is a Google Ads Kit bundle. It's going to give us access to the Google Ads Launch Kit. And we're going to have a type of one-time payment. The offer is $29, and we're going to go ahead and click on create. And so we've gone ahead and created. Now this is where it gets a little confusing. First of all, we need to publish it in order to connect it to a funnel. So I'm going to go ahead and click on publish here and save at the top. And just as a quick note, you see this edit checkout button here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in all this copy. You would definitely want to reformat this. I'm just doing this really quick to show you. So you can put in this copy here, and when you click edit checkout, as soon as you create an offer, it's actually automatically going to create a checkout page. So if you don't want to go through the process of creating a funnel, which for a new product, sharing it with your email list, you don't really need to, you can see here that it's made this page for us already. And so you can go through and edit this and not even bother with the funnel side of things. Just send this link to your email list and say, hey, for the next 48 hours, it's only going to be $29, and then the price goes to $50 or whatever. And so this way you can launch incredibly fast. Don't even worry about the funnel part. But the funnel part's fun, right? So we'll go back up to our offer here, and I'll go ahead and leave those settings alone. And the next step I want to show you is the pricing. So just to keep with us, we've created the product, the membership site, the course, and then we've created the offer, and we have one pricing tier. But what if we want more than one? So we can come over here and edit the price that we have here. Custom price override. So this is what's going to show up on the sales page instead. I really don't recommend doing this because it only takes like one time to forget the to update your pricing someplace. So I just like to have it automatic. And you can have multiple pricing, but not here. So we've created our product, we've created our offer. And so now we need to go create one more pricing. So we have our sale price and we have our full price. I realize this is a lot, but stick with me. It's going to save you so much time and headache, especially running sales. So here's what we'll do. We'll actually come over here to payments, and then we're going to go to products, and then you'll see that we have one payment, GK, Google Ads Kit Bundle at $29. So we can go ahead and click on that, and then we can click on pricing, and we can add another price. So I'm going to say GK, Google Ads Launch Kit, full price. So it's one-time payment, and I believe the full price is $95, but it's $50 or $95. And then I can go ahead and click on save. Now, this is really, I realize like this does feel contrived. It does feel like extra steps because it is. And the reason that I ultimately wound up liking this is because now when we go back over to sites, bear with me, it's all going to come together. It's going to click. And we come back over to our funnel, and we go to our sales page, and we go to products. I'm just going to remove our placeholder there. If I could spell delete. Here we go. And now that I've deleted that, we can go ahead and click add product. I'll go ahead and select Google Launch Kit Bundle and then the price. So you can see we have two prices. And you can also see that I should name the prices I should have the prices with the actual price in them, because I have to remember that full was 95 and bundle was 29. But what's cool is now I can, in one drop down, I can just select what the price should be for this offer in this context, right? So I'll select bundle at $29 for a one-time offer. Then when I'm creating a page that's full price, I just click full price. When I'm creating a page that maybe it's a Black Friday deal or it's an upsell or I'm combining it with something else, I can just add a price and not have to make a new offer every time I want to change the price. So that's something you have to do with some other funnel builders. So initially I looked at this and went, this is ridiculous. Why do I have to make a product and then make an offer and then go to payments and then change the payment settings and make multiple payments? Like it felt really contrived, and now I actually like it. Or maybe I just, got used to it. But either way, I'm happy that you can do that. And then product name. This of course shows up on the order form. So I'm going to say 29. Or I would say, I like to say 94% discount, right? Actually, not all caps though. That was just me, fat fingers. And then of course I can go ahead and click on save. And so that is how you connect your product via an offer, via a pricing plan to your funnel. And so that does it for, if we go back to our diagram for the second to last time, we now have our landing page. We've connected our sales page to our membership, and we've created a pricing plan for that membership. And so the last thing that you would want to do after you've gone through all this is set up something called an automation. So over in your automations tab, you're going to want to set something up so that you can send emails to all those people who didn't buy, right? So people who bought, they went down to the digital product, we've connected them, they're going to get access. Okay, awesome, cool. But what about the people who don't purchase? We want to add them to an email sequence to hopefully get them to purchase our awesome offer. And again, this is one of those instances where when you're first getting started, you look at it and go, what on earth is going on? There's way too much going on there. So what's cool is, of course, in our snapshot, or if you're building from scratch, you can go ahead and set this up one time, and then you can just duplicate your automations. So this is a basic automation we've created to go through sending emails over a 72-hour period. So I will go ahead and duplicate this workflow, and I'm going to give it a name, PGP. Just make sure your naming conventions make sense to you, because you're going to have a lot of these. So Google Oops, and I'm still on cap locks. Google Ads Playbook. Showing the world my dyslexia there. Okay. And I'm actually going to move it out of this funnel, out of this folder, because it is a main product. So we'll go ahead and go back here. All right, there we go. So you can see our new one here. So I'll go ahead and click on that. We got our workflow. And so here's how the workflows work. First thing we need to do is say, when should this start? When or how should this start? So we have it to, I'll click here so you can see, we have a bunch of triggers. We could be here all day. I'm going to keep it really simple though. This workflow starts when someone completes a form. So what form are they completing? They're completing the form for PGP. So you can see here, I've gone ahead and said form submitted. This is a name that you can give the trigger. And we'll say the form is, you have so many options in here. I've seen so many other people get crazy. Again, just keep it simple. So the word of the day, keep it simple. I know it's a phrase, but just go with me here. I've been recording this for a while. So we're going to go form is, and then you'll see your list of forms. I'm going to select PGP 10. You can see why I start using codes and clearly labeling everything, because you're going to get lost. And we'll go ahead and click on Save Trigger. So now, every time someone completes the form on our landing page, we are going to start this workflow. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to tag them. And so tags are how we make sure we know what people have or have not done in our workflows. So I'm going to tag this as a PGP lead. And of course, I don't have, since I'm doing this for the first time, you'll see I don't have too many tags in here. So I'm going to tag them as PGP. This is Google Ads Playbook, and it's going to be leads. So that's the name I want this tag to be. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm just typing it out here so it's clear. You'll see here I don't have any yet. So I can go ahead and start typing in, and you'll see it says add a new tag, or I'm going to paste in what I want it to be. So you can see down here, now it says add new tag, PGP, Google Ads Playbook. It makes everything lowercase. I understand we have to do that for UTM parameters, but as someone who likes case sensitive stuff, it does drive me a little nuts that it has to be lowercase, but that's okay. So PGP, Google Ads Playbook, and save action. So now someone enters their name and email on that form. This workflow starts, we tag them. So no matter what they do in the future, we know where they came from. We know they came from that landing page. Why is that important? Because in 6 or 9 months, when you're trying to figure out where your best customers are coming from, you're going to just look at all your lead tags and you're going to go, hey, PGP, 90% of our people came from that landing page for some reason. So maybe we should make more content or make more things about that. Spoiler alert, we did, because this was one of our better performing ones. We, of course, start sending them an email. And the first email we send is this. I'll go ahead and expand this template so you can see it. There we go. This email, very basic. We just say, hey, thanks for signing up. Here's your lead magnet. That's it. That's all we do with the first email. We just say, hey, here's your lead magnet. And we go ahead and, of course, link that. We have a link over on Google Drive for the PDF that they get access to. And that's all we need to do. And then we go through a series of delays over a 72-hour period, sending them emails. I'll just go through one more here. Sending them a series of emails, telling them why they should take us up on that cool offer for the 72-hour countdown timer. So all these emails you see here, we just wait 10 to 12 hours in between, and we send them an email saying, hey, come check out this cool thing. Send in an email saying, hey, come check out this cool thing. And then if for whatever reason they don't purchase, we wait a couple days, and then we drop them with our general broadcast list tag. And so then when you're sending out emails on a weekly basis, you only send emails to people who have this tag, because you can set things up so that if someone's going through this automation, right, like we want them to read these emails, not our general content emails, right? And so that's why we wait until the very end of the sequence to tag them with the general broadcast tag, because we don't want them receiving our general emails and our sales emails at the same time. Otherwise, their inbox gets really overflowed and then they hit spam and we never get to email them again. Not fun. So of course, subscribe, because we'll have other videos that take a deeper dive into actually what to say in these emails and how to position your offer and really utilize that countdown timer for urgency. But for time purposes here, that's all we need to do. And so, whoops, we have to hit save. I always forget. It's not like a Google Doc where it's automatically saving all the time. You always have to hit save. And so we'll go back to workflows here. And there's one more we get to set up, and that is for when someone purchases our product. I'll go ahead and duplicate this workflow. I'll give it a name. This is going to be GK. Again, don't mind all my OCD-ness here. And this is going to be our Google Ads Launch Kit. So this is going to be when they actually purchase our product. So I'll just go ahead and click in here. So here's what we want to do. This is the second automation you want to set up for your sales funnel. So our trigger is going to be something called payment received. Payment received, global payment is, and then we can select our offer. Yes, it's confusing. I know. It's not our product, it's our offer. So we're selecting our offer here. So this will start when someone purchases our offer anywhere, as an upsell, as a downsell, as an order bump, in funnel number 5 or in funnel number 1. And so what's really cool is once you set this up for your product, you don't have to worry about it again. So if you create a new funnel in 6 months and Google Ads Launch Kit is the upsell, I don't have to worry about giving them access or the welcome emails, because it's already set up just one time. And so we check payment received is Google Ads bundle, save trigger. So no matter what pricing plan, they get access. That's cool. So we'll click grant access. And so now we need to set up an action. Here, let me do this from scratch. Grant access to offer. If you're doing community groups, you can, grab grant access to a community group. So we'll click course offer. And then we'll go ahead and click the Google Ads Launch Kit bundle, and we'll click on save there. So now when someone pays for the Google Ads Launch Kit, they'll get access to the Google Ads Launch Kit. And I'll go ahead and click delete here since we just set that up. Now the next thing we want to do is tag them as a customer for what they've purchased. So this again just helps us with automations. We can quickly look at tags and say they were a lead here, they purchased this. And so in this particular instance, they are going to be a Google Ads Launch Kit customer. So we'll do that. GK, Google Ads Launch Kit customers, just like that. And since I don't have that tag yet, I can just paste that in. I'll add it as a new tag. And so in the future, it's very easy for us to email just people who are in the course. Now, here's the next or last mandatory thing. So now what we need to do is remove them from our lead generation automation that we just set up. So the automation we just set up is saying, if we come back, I have a split screen of it. So the automation we just set up is for people who didn't purchase, right? We're saying, hey, buy this offer, buy this offer, buy this offer. Not as annoying, but we're saying, hey, you should check this out. But as soon as they do, we need to remove them from this and add them to this. So what we can do here is we can go ahead and click, and I always have to double check. These are called remove from workflow. So we're going to cancel. Here we go. We can say remove. So remove from a workflow, and we're going to say remove from another workflow. And we're going to look at all of our workflows here, and we want to remove from PGP Google Ads Playbook here. So we're going to remove from that, and then we'll go ahead and click save. So now I'll go ahead and delete our delete action. Yes, there we go. Okay. So now what happens is once they buy, we give them access to the course, we tag them as a customer, and then we remove them from that sales sequence so they don't keep getting emails to buy something they already bought. And then, of course, we got to tag them as a general broadcast list. And then optionally, everything after this is optional. You can start sending welcome emails and tell them how cool the offer is and encourage them to actually use it. But subscribe, because we'll go through that in a separate video, because we've been here, I think, long enough. But when it comes to this funnel, building out your landing page, having a sales letter, one-time offer, an order bump, and an upsell, a rapport sequence to drive people back, you are good to go. So I'll go ahead and jump out of our workflow here. And if we jump back over to our sites and our product and our pages here, you can see we have our landing page done that clicks to our form that activates the automation to send people back to your one-time offer page if they didn't purchase. So of course, I went ahead and copy pasted this off camera because it would have been boring. But you see here, we have our sales page now. If they click get access, they can go through the two-step checkout. And when they click continue, they'll be presented with the order form and of course the order bump. If they decide to take the order bump, you can see here what the actual payment looks like. Then they'll actually see the order bump. You can see here the naming that I talked about earlier, $29, 94% discount. You probably will just say, name your pricing plans with the discount, since the price is going to show up anyway. They can click yes. And then, of course, using Stripe, they have all these different options. They can do the one-step checkout with link. And then they, of course, can go ahead and click on enroll now. Being digital nomad, this is where I happen to be right now. And then, of course, they come to your upsell page, and you always tell them to click play to watch the video. And then they can either click yes to get the upsell or no thanks. Because we only have one upsell, we of course take them to the confirmation page. And once they hit here, our second automation triggers, removes them from our second automation here. If I go here, our second automation to purchase the offer triggers, removes them from the sales automation, and then they get access to our membership site and the courses that they purchased. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you are a lot more confident when it comes to how to build things in Go High Level, what it's actually like to build a funnel from scratch. We really wanted to make sure that we used a funnel that we're actually launching as an example, so you can see all the itty bitty parts that you go through to bring a product to life. And again, when it comes to creating your products for the first time, we actually always recommend just use that basic checkout page and then build your funnel while you're already driving traffic and making sales. And speaking of which, go ahead and check out that link to the 30-day free trial in the description to Go High Level. And when you do, you will get all of these funnel templates that we went through, along with access to ActOS to help you with creating your content, building your funnels, and launching your products as quickly as possible. I do my best to read and reply to every single comment as well, so comment below if you have any questions about High Level. I look forward to seeing you on the inside the community group to help you when you start that 30-day free trial. And as always, keep building the business you love.